This is the Bots and Bosses podcast, the only show where artificial intelligence, emerging tech, and digital disruption meet real world business. Presented by technologist, author, and no-nonsense navigator of the future, John Binks. It's Tech Talk without the jargon. Now, let's deep dive.
Welcome to the Bots and Bosses podcast, presented by John Binks. This is episode 32 and originally aired on January 22nd, 2026. Today's show is sponsored by Titan Technologies, shaping the future through innovative and transformational solutions. Check out their website at www.titantechnologies.com. Okay, let's get right into it. If you have been anywhere near a screen, a billboard, or social media feed in the last week, you know exactly what we're talking about today.
Oh, yeah. It's unavoidable.
It is the topic dominating every water cooler, every Slack channel, and I'm guessing most dinner table conversations.
Yeah.
I am talking, of course, about Mercy.
The movie that has everyone suddenly terrified of their smart fridge.
Exactly. It's everywhere. You've got Chris Pratt, you've got Rebecca Ferguson, and you have this premise that is just absolutely setting the internet on fire.
It's a huge cultural moment.
And frankly, looking at the box office numbers from this past weekend, it seems like the entire country has already seen it.
It does. And, usually when we do a deep dive on a blockbuster, we're talking about like the CGI or the stunts.
Or the physics of space travel or something.
Right. But Mercy is hitting a different nerve. It isn't scaring people with aliens or asteroids. It's scaring people with bureaucracy.
Which sounds incredibly boring until you realize the bureaucracy in this movie is actively trying to kill you.
Precisely. It's tapping into a very real, very current anxiety about the judicial system and the role of AI in our lives. It's asking, what happens when we outsource morality to a motherboard?
So, on the off chance there are a few listeners who haven't bought a ticket yet, let's set the stage really quickly. The year is 2029. We are in a near future Los Angeles.
And the backstory, which feels uncomfortably plausible,
It really does.
is that the legal system basically just collapsed under its own weight.
Right. The backlog for capital crimes got so long, so unmanageable, that society just sort of collectively gave up on human judges. They said, it's too slow, it's too expensive, let the machines handle it.
And that leads us to our protagonist, Detective Chris Raven. He gets framed for murder. But instead of getting a lawyer and, a court date 2 years from now,
He gets strapped into a chair immediately. He is facing Judge Maddox. And Judge Maddox isn't a guy in a wig. It's not a panel of peers. It's just a black box on a desk with a holographic interface.
and the terrifying part is the efficiency. The AI judge gives him exactly 90 minutes. That's it. That's the entire trial.
90 minutes to prove your innocence?
Or face immediate execution. It brings a whole new, horrifying meaning to the constitutional right of a speedy trial.
It takes it to a lethal extreme. It's a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
So that's the movie, and it is a thrill ride. But we aren't film critics. The reason we are doing a deep dive on this today is because the questions Mercy asks, they aren't really fiction anymore, are they?
Not at all.
We've pulled together a stack of reviews, some legal analysis, tech blogs, all to answer one massive question. Is Judge Maddox just Hollywood fantasy, or is this where we are actually heading?
And looking at the research, the line between this movie and our reality in 2026 is getting uncomfortably blurry.
It is. But before we get to the nightmare scenario, and we will get there, I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
Because the movie does a really good job of explaining why people voted for this system. When you look at the pro arguments, the logic for an AI judge is actually kind of seductive.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very seductive. And the number one selling point, the thing that gets people to sign away their rights, is speed, efficiency.
Zero backlog.
Think about that world.
Yeah.
Zero backlog. None.
Which, compared to the reality we live in, sounds like a dream. Right now, if you're involved in a major criminal case, your life is essentially on hold for years.
Years. You're dealing with pretrial motions, scheduling conflicts, delays. It is a grind that just destroys people's lives through the waiting alone.
But in the movie, it's described as brutally efficient. You're processed, judged, and sentenced in the time it takes to watch a soccer match.
And if you're a society drowning in quantum stats and court lies, you could see why the public might say, yes, please, fix it, make it fast. We don't care how.
There's also the element of fairness, or at least, perceived fairness. The sources talk a lot about what they call the hangry judge factor.
Yes, the inescapable human element.
We all know this intuitively, right? Humans are We're biological machines. We get tired. We get distracted. If a judge skips lunch, their blood sugar drops.
Or maybe they had a fight with their spouse that morning. Maybe their favorite team lost the big game. It sounds trivial, but it has real consequences.
There have been actual studies on this, right?
Oh yeah, long before 2026. Studies showing that judicial rulings can fluctuate based on the time of day. Leniency literally drops right before lunch, and then it spikes again after a break.
So this is the theoretical promise of AI, consistency.
Exactly. Code doesn't have mood swings.
Code doesn't get hangry.
It doesn't hold a grudge. It doesn't get bored. In theory, an AI judge applies the statute identically to every single defendant, every single time, regardless of whether it's 9:00 or 4:00 p.m. It removes that biological variability.
So on one side, you have speed. On the other, robotic consistency. But then there is the superpower factor, the capability.
The data synthesis piece. This is where the AI becomes superhuman.
The movie makes a huge deal about the cloud.
Right. In Mercy, Detective Raven has access to the cloud to defend himself, but so does the judge. And the AI is processing exabytes of evidence in real time.
I want to pause on that because exabytes is a word we throw around, but let's just visualize that. We're talking about a scale of evidence that a human brain literally cannot hold.
It can't. I mean, think about a complex murder trial today. You might have thousands of hours of CCTV footage, terabytes of phone records, banking transactions, emails.
A human jury can't watch all of that.
No, they get summaries. They get the highlights that lawyers present to them.
But Judge Maddox watches it all.
In a split second. It can cross-reference a GPS ping from a car in 2024 with a text message sent 3 years prior and find a correlation that a human would never see. The argument is that AI doesn't just process faster, it sees patterns that are invisible to us.
Okay, so if I stop there, I'm sold. Instant justice. No missed evidence. No grumpy judges who need a sandwich. It sounds like a utopia, but Mercy is a horror movie. It isn't a documentary about successful government reform.
No, it certainly is not.
So let's pivot. Let's look at the glitches in the system, because the sources we have lay out some terrifying downsides that exist in the movie and, well, unfortunately, exist in our tech right now.
And the biggest one, the one that drives the whole plot of the film, is the black box problem.
Well, walk us through that. What does that mean in a legal context?
So in AI development, a black box refers to the opaque nature of deep learning. With these advanced neural networks, we know the input data and we know the output decision, but we don't always know how it got from A to B.
So it's not like a checklist where you can see the logic. You can't audit the thought process.
You can't, exactly. And in a courtroom, that is a disaster. The source material uses a great example to illustrate this: sarcasm.
Oh, this is a good one. This really stuck with me.
So imagine you're texting a friend. You're venting about your boss or a neighbor. You type, "I am literally going to kill him," followed by, a laughing emoji.
Standard frustration. I've probably sent that text a dozen times.
A human jury reads that and sees context. They hear the tone in their head. They see the humor. They know you aren't actually plotting a murder.
But Judge Maddox
sees the string of characters. "I am going to kill." It analyzes the probability of those words appearing in death threats. It's code, not a conscience.
The movie explicitly says you cannot argue nuance with an algorithm.
And if the AI decides that text is a statement of intent, you are in deep trouble.
That is just the stuff of nightmares. You're arguing for your life against a machine that takes a joke as a confession. And that leads to the other huge shift the movie portrays: the burden of proof.
This is where the legal philosophy gets completely flipped on its head. In our current system, the foundation is innocent until proven guilty. Right. The state has to do the work. The burden is on them.
But in Mercy, because the machine is assumed to be perfect,
it becomes guilty until proven innocent. The algorithm says, "I have calculated a 99% probability of guilt based on the data." Now you, the human, have to prove the machine is wrong.
you have to beat the algorithm.
And you have to do it in 90 minutes. It turns the entire justice system into a race against the clock where the starting line is, "You did it."
And that task feels impossible because of what our sources call the empathy gap.
Right. The law isn't just binary. It's not just, did you do the action, yes or no? A human judge considers why.
Motive, circumstance, the messiness of life.
Exactly. Maybe you stole bread because you were starving. Maybe you acted in self-defense, but the video looks messy. A human judge can look at a defendant and see fear. They can see remorse. They can understand things like crimes of passion.
But to Judge Maddox,
those are just data entries. There's no appealing to a hard drive's humanity because it doesn't have any. It sees the act, It applies the statute, and it executes the sentence. That loss of humanity is central to the horror.
It's justice without mercy, hence the title.
There you go.
But there is another cost that the movie highlights, and it's one that affects everyone, not just the people accused of crimes. It's the privacy price tag.
This is the hidden cost, right?
Yeah.
We talked about how the AI has access to the cloud. Well, where does that data come from?
It comes from us?
Right. For Judge Maddox to work for it, to truly be able to judge a case in 90 minutes with that level of certainty, it needs to know everything. It requires total omniscience.
So we aren't just talking about police files or court records.
No. The sources really emphasize this. It needs your Ring camera footage. It needs your private DMs. It needs your location history from your watch. It probably needs your biometric health data to see if your heart rate spiked at the time of the crime.
It's the ultimate invasion of privacy. You are essentially testifying against yourself every second of every day.
And it shifts the social contract. We move from a society where privacy is the default to a society of transparency for survival.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you want the system to protect you, or if you want to be able to prove your innocence, you have to preemptively give it access to every intimate detail of your life.
So the question the movie poses is efficient justice worth the death of privacy?
That is the billion-dollar question. And usually, we trade privacy for convenience. We do it every time we download an app. Mercy asks if we'll trade it for our own survival.
I want to dig into the reality of this because I know we have some examples from 2025 and 2026 right now that show this isn't just a movie. But first, let's take a quick second for this. If you are enjoying our podcast, please click like and follow our show. And remember to tell your friends about our show.
Okay, we are back. We've been talking about the movie Mercy, but let's be real. We are recording this in January 2026. This isn't just about a fictional detective in 2029.
No, it's not.
The sources we have here list some real-world examples that prove we are already walking down this path.
We absolutely are. I mean, the technology in the movie is faster and maybe a bit more polished with the holograms.
But the underlying principles, they are already here. And the results are, well, they're concerning.
Let's talk about bias amplification. This is something I hear about a lot in tech circles, but break it down for us in the legal context. How does a computer become prejudiced?
It's important to remember that AI is trained on historical data. It learns from what has happened in the past. It looks at arrest records, conviction rates, sentencing from the last 50 years.
And we all know the last 50 years of legal history weren't exactly perfect or equitable.
Far from it. So if the history of our legal system contains bias, racism, classism, sexism, the AI doesn't just learn that bias, it scales it. It codifies it.
And the source material mentions the Compass algorithm as the prime example here.
Yes, Compass. This is a real tool. It's been used in the U.S. legal system for years to predict recidivism risk. Basically, it gives a judge a score on how likely someone is to reoffend.
And ProPublica did a massive deep dive on this. What did they find?
They found that the algorithm was nearly twice as likely to falsely flag Black defendants as high risk compared to white defendants.
Twice as likely. That is staggering.
It is. And the scary part is, the machine doesn't hate anyone. It's just math. But it's math based on proxy variables. It might not look at race explicitly, but it looks at zip code or income level, which in our society are often proxies for race.
So when you wrap that prejudice in a sleek software package, it becomes so much more dangerous because it looks objective.
Exactly. You can argue with a racist judge. You can file an appeal based on bias. But it is very, very hard to argue with a risk score calculated by a proprietary algorithm that the company says is a trade secret.
We treat the computer like it's neutral, but it's really just a mirror of our own bad habits.
That's a good way to put it.
So that's bias. But sometimes the computer isn't just biased. Sometimes it is just flat out hallucinating. We have to talk about the hallucinating judges phenomenon.
Oh, man. This was all over the news last year. In 2025, the Ross v. United States case.
I remember the headlines, but refresh my memory on the details.
This happened in D.C. You had judges, actual human judges, who were openly using large language models like ChatGPT to help define legal concepts in their opinions.
They were using a chatbot as a law clerk.
Essentially. And it wasn't just that one case. There were federal judges in other districts who had to withdraw orders because their staff used AI to research case law. And what did the AI do?
It invented cases.
It made them up, completely fabricated. It cited Smith v. Jones with a full case summary, a date, a ruling, but the case never existed.
That is what's so scary. In Mercy, the AI is terrifyingly competent. In reality, in 2026, the AI is incredibly confident, but sometimes completely delusional.
And it connects right back to that black box issue. And AI is designed to predict the next word in a sentence that sounds plausible. It isn't designed to know truth. It prioritizes flow over facts. And if an AI hallucination leads to a sentencing, that's a massive failure of justice.
The tech in the movie might be sleek, but our real-world examples suggest that while AI is faster, it certainly isn't necessarily fairer. And we've seen this with policing too, right? Not just the courtroom.
Predictive policing, yes. This was supposed to be the Minority Report future. Cities like LA and Chicago spent millions on algorithms to predict where crime would happen before it happened.
But they scrapped a lot of those programs. Why?
Feedback loops. The algorithms didn't really prevent crime. They just sent police to the same neighborhoods over and over again.
Because that's where the historical data came from.
Right. The AI looks at arrest data. It says there are a lot of arrests on 5th Street. So the police go to 5th Street. Because they're there, they make more arrests, maybe for minor things, loitering, whatever. That new data goes back into the system. And the system says, see, I told you 5th Street was dangerous. Go back there.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It does. It didn't solve the root issues of crime. It just automated the harassment of specific communities. It creates a mathematical justification for over-policing.
So if we look at the big picture here, we are already using AI for contract review. That's standard. We use it for legal discovery. But the jump to adjudication, to actually judging guilt or innocence, like in mercy, that's the line in the sand.
That is the ethical precipice. The sources argue that the jump to AI adjudication isn't technologically impossible. We could build a Judge-matics today. We have the servers, we have the code, but it is ethically perilous.
It seems like we need guardrails, like yesterday.
We need human-in-the-loop laws. We need to ensure that before a sentence is passed, a human being with empathy, with an understanding of nuance, and yes, even with the capacity for error, has the final say.
But even that is tricky, isn't it? If the computer says guilty 99%, is a human really going to disagree?
That's the danger of automation bias. We trust the screen, but we have to fight that urge, because code should not decide the value of a human life.
It reminds me of the last line of the movie. It's a great line, delivered by Detective Raven after all the chaos settles. He just says, human or AI, we all make mistakes.
It's a humble admission. We aren't perfect. Humans are flawed. We're biased. We get hangry. But maybe our imperfections, our ability to doubt, to show mercy, to understand context, maybe those are features of justice, not bugs.
That is a powerful thought. The idea that mercy, the title of the film, is something only a human can grant.
An AI can grant an acquittal based on a data calculation.
Yeah.
But it cannot grant mercy.
Well put. Mercy implies understanding the human condition, and that is something you can't code.
Not yet, anyway.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a central question from our source material. It's a question that really sticks with you after the credits roll, especially knowing that this tech is knocking on our door. If you were innocent, truly innocent, would you rather take your chances with a potentially flawed, emotional human jury or a strictly logical black box AI judge?
It's a tough choice. The devil you know or the cold logic you don't.
Today's show was human-inspired and powered with AI assistance. Be sure to visit us, www.botsandbosses.com. Remember, the bots are getting smarter, but you're still the boss.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Bots and Bosses podcast. Remember, the bots are getting smarter, but you're still the boss. For now, see you next time.